Do you know what that means? Woohoo! It's the episode 10. This is our season finale episode of our first season of Makeup Gourmet Live. Thank you for joining us. It's time to start the show. I am so excited all of you have joined us today because the first season's been great. I was saying earlier to our model, I'll explain here what fun we've been having. I had a TV show on Comcast that aired in Northern California for quite a while, and the catchphrase was each episode we cook a look, and so I just remembered that before we started, and I went, yeah, in this episode we're gonna cook a look. So that should be fun. So, any techies out there? I updated my software that I'm using, and it looked like I had to cancel tonight's episode, but I didn't. So I'm excited that you joined us, just because my model got here, I'm going to say 5 minutes ago, and we just flew to get her ready. So I'm actually going to be doing more on her face than I expected, but actually it's great because this show, I'm like Fortune's fool, because in this show I really think it's good, you're going to benefit more. So I hope you appreciate it. So we're talking about contour today, and contour is, I call it the Total Solar Eclipse episode. And the reason I did that was because the way light wraps around things and shapes things, I thought the Total Solar Eclipse was a big part of that. And since that was such a big deal for all of us, I don't know if anybody saw it. I tried to. I live in San Francisco. If it happened today, it would have been great because it's really sunny and nice today. But anyway, it's all about how light works on shape and shadow. And it's not difficult, it's just a concept. And so I'm going to be sharing that with you as we do today's episode. Once again, I really want to thank you for joining. And then I'm going to share with you right now just some cool stuff. Now, contouring is a big buzz right now, but contour has been around since makeup began. It's all about empowering the face, bringing strong features forward, receding other features back so the strong features have more presence. And that's what contour is, and so that's what we're going to be sharing with you today. So let's talk about what is contour. What are we trying to do? So in this image here, you can see that the young lady has quite a bit of stuff going on. But I like it just because it's real simple. They just show you where the highlights and the contours are, right? So the parts of the face that we want to bring forward, we're going to use something lighter. And the parts of the face we want to recede, it's going to go back. And it's the same thing we do when we do eyeshadow. We want to bring the ball of the eye forward. We want to recede the crease and give it more contrast. Well, that's what's happening with our face as well. Now, the reason I'm showing you this image is because if you watch a lot of contour videos, there is so much of this stuff going on. Now, in my opinion, unless you're doing runway makeup or photography makeup or anything that has to make your makeup what I call flash proof, which means when the flash goes off, it doesn't eat through your makeup so that the presence of the contour is still there. That's where, this kind of makeup comes, this kind of contouring comes in. But I will be demonstrating that today on our lovely model, Carol. I believe she's from Brazil, is that correct? Yeah. Isn't that awesome? So, that's kind of cool. So, and she's really sweet. She was a model last week, I think, was it last week or 2 weeks ago? I'm not sure, for one of my makeup artist students, and she's just really nice. And she actually said, dude, you got to do more Instagram. I'm like, okay, well, that's what we'll do. So, so let me go on with the contour. So, again, you can see where, the middle of the nose, they highlight. Side of the nose, you darken, so it makes your nose look more straight. You contour around the perimeter of the forehead. You can see on this model here, how she's contoured on the forehead. The whole idea is to bring the light down into the center of the face, or as you know I like to call it, the heart of the face. So that the eyes and lips, for me the most important features with makeup are highlighted, because you kind of corral the face in, the way shadows are working on your face. You corral them in so they really just support your main features. And I think that's kind of cool. So I think this is kind of a funny picture, but I'm just going to share it with you. So here's an example of lots of different people putting on lots of different contour, and all this is going on before their foundation, right? So, it looks like, I don't know, kind of like a mess, but by the time they get done, it doesn't look so bad. And so I think that's kind of cool. And it reminds me of when I do wedding makeup. I work with a great stylist. Her name is Catherine at Tulip Salon. You must see her in San Francisco. And she grabs people's hair and just makes a mess out of it, and then just kind of smooths it around, smooths it, and then it looks beautiful. That's what, this style of contour reminds me of. But really what's supposed to happen is something a little bit more like this, which is really, you can see how, like I was explaining before, how the way the face is shaped, right? There's dark around the outside, light in the middle. This is sort of a Photoshop-y kind of application. I don't even know if she's really wearing that makeup. It looks digital to me, but it just kind of shows you where the highlights, and how her nose is highlighted, and how their jawline is more thin, so light. She has a strong, jawline. That's what's supposed to be happening with all of this. So, like some images from my book. I love the contour on this model. What I love is you can see that clean line where her contour and blush stop. It's along that heart line. It's that line that runs from the outer corner of the lip past the outer corner of the eye. How she's beautifully highlighted in the center of her face, and it has that really soft, feminine heart slash triangular shape. Was that? Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, but it's more curvy up by the eyebrows, and I just think it's really pretty because it just really makes her features pop. And then in this image too, it's a great look. It's a stylized look, and her skin is really clean, and she has just I don't know if she has much blush on at all, but she has the contour going on. It's really not the only shaping happening on her face, and you can see it. And the fact that it's just really mild but adds a little contrast to her face shape really makes that clean look of eyeliner and lips super duper pop, which I think is really, really pretty, and I hope you do too. And I think those are, I thought I had one more image to share with you. Let me see if I do. I had a more natural look. Oh, well, that's it. Sorry. So the two looks I showed you, like this look, it's a little bit softer. I mean, I admit, her makeup looks great. But it's definitely a little bit more glam. And then this look, too, it's a nice stylized look. But contour works for everybody, in so many ways. So I just want to remind everybody that we have live chat going. Here I say chat live, meaning I suggest that you chat live. But if you have any questions as we're going along, what you need to do is you need to just type it on in. Everybody who sends me a nice little note, you're going to be entered to win today's featured product, and I know you're very excited about that. So I'll be sharing that with you as we move along. Sorry, we're just getting Carol in place. Yeah, that looks really good. All right. So anyway, any questions, please ask. Because I like to hear from you. Is there something else? Oh yeah. So today's featured product, just so you know, very, very exciting, is my face contour brush. Because heck, that's what we're doing. That's not what we're gonna do at first. I'm gonna show you two styles of contour application. The first one is the slightly more severe one, and it definitely takes more time. And then the second one is fast because it's really clean and easy. So, but what's really exciting right now is I get to introduce all of you to our lovely and talented model for the day. So, please, everybody, welcome Miss Carol to the stage. Look how happy she is. Yeah, well, here we are at Makeup Gourmet Life. Hey, Carol, how's it going?
Hey, hello, everybody.
How are you doing?
I'm great, too.
Huh?
I'm great, and you?
Well, you got here 10 minutes ago, so I think I have it pretty much together now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Here's Carol's face. Right now, I was gonna like do some makeup on her and stuff, but didn't have time. So this is beautiful Carol's makeup, right? So first, I'm gonna demonstrate. What I did was I cleaned up this side of her face. For the camera, I took off what she had on. I just put a little bit of foundation on. So I'm gonna do sort of the everyday contouring on this side. Now on this side of her face, we don't have any foundation yet. So here is where I'm really going to demonstrate that method that I was talking about, which is really, make it, photo proof. Now some people who really want to keep their face, they really want a strong contour, they do this all the time. So let's talk about it. So the way light falls on the face, there's highlights and valleys, right? I call this the shelf of the cheekbone. That's where light falls and hits first. You always want to keep that nice and bright and light, right? Because you want light to bounce off this bad boy. And then your cheekbone starts to roll outward, and then it crowns wherever your cheekbone happens to crown. But it does crown, which means it's closest to me. And right after it crowns, it just starts to gently roll under. So we got the shelf, no contour here. Crown, no contour here. But on the underside of the crown, you see how my brush is rolling down the underside of her cheek? That's where you want, that's for cheek contour. Now, just for fun, if you're watching live or if you're watching this later, do it. Take your thumb. What you can do is you can take your thumb and you can go just along your cheekbone. You can feel there's a little ridge right here. Now that ridge is what creates that little indentation. Now some people, they've got massive cheekbones or a big deep ridge and their cheekbone's really highly defined. And other people, it's softer. The curvature of the bone, the skull is softer. Doesn't matter. This is where it is. And you want to make sure you put your contour in the right spot. Usually the biggest mistake I see people do is they put it too low. They put it right here, which I call the hollow of the cheekbone. Right here, anatomically, is where our top and bottom teeth meet. So you want your contour to really stop before it gets here, because if it's dark right here, it kind of sinks you in. You look sort of like a skeleton, on Halloween more kind of makeup than like, daily beauty makeup. So I'm going to get started. So I'm going to use my corrector wheel, awesome product, and I have different shades of corrector, yes, and concealer. So I'm going to use this. I'm going to use the dark and the light. I'm going to use sort of not a full-size foundation brush, but not a super small concealer brush, but a medium-sized foundation brush. Turn for me, please, again. So right here, as I showed you before, was where I'm actually taking my brush and I'm feeling where her bone is, and I'm just going right along it. I really just can't miss because I'm following her anatomy. And, when I talk about eye makeup, it's all about the anatomy. Follow your anatomy, and your makeup's going to look great. So what I'm slowly doing is I'm slowly bringing this dangerously close to the hollow, but we're not going to put it in the hollow. But it's going to be kind of like this wide kind of V shape, just like this. And so obviously it's darker, so it's going to create a little bit of depth of color, depth of shadow right here, which is going to make this look higher and brighter. Now the other, and this is like the typical spot where people contour. Man, that looks really good on camera, Carol. It does. With your head turned like that, it pops really nice. I know you want to see it, but what?
With professional by my side.
Say what?
I have you by my side.
Oh yes, I am by your side. Yes, well, hooray for that. So next, I'm going to. But now, let me explain. some people feel like their jawline is kind of rounded, right? And they want to find ways to sort of crisp it up. So just remember, we're just sort of enhancing how shadow falls on your face. That's all we're doing. Try not to put something on your face that isn't your face, because if you do, then it looks really bad. Here's your jawline, and I'm just really defining how the shadow falls. So you can see, bring your chin up just a little bit. Bring your chin up, bring your chin up, please. Carol, bring your chin up like this. So go this way. Yeah, perfect. Just like that. So you see this line, how it's falling. I know that's uncomfortable, but thank you. You can see how what I do is I do a really crisp, hard, straight line. So when light hits her here, when we're done, it's going to really fall off quickly and cleanly, right? And you'll want to start from behind the ear. So this doesn't look like this dark thing is happening, like all of a sudden it just shows up on her face. You want to start from way back behind your ear like this, and then brush forward, okay? Like that. And when you get close to the chin, just let it wrap under the chin. Often people will contour. Everyone has a different face shape, and so there's different things that you're going to do for different face shapes for contouring. Like if your face is round, you're going to do more things. If you feel it's long, and all those things they're technical to your face, but knowing where your features are, and where the contour goes is very important. Okay, now turn back to me just a little bit. That was great. So look at Carol. She's got this nice sloping forehead right here. Now for those of us, let me think. Maybe me with square forehead and just like, oh my God, what the heck is going on there, right? If I want to use contour to highlight my eyes more, I have to frame my face here. But you see that Carol's hair is back today, right? And because her hair is back, the light is catching a lot right on the top of her forehead up here near the top. So it's here that I'm going to add a little bit of this dark concealer. So am I blocking as I do this now? And I'm not going to do this on the other side because I'm going to do a different kind of contour on the other side. But you see what's happening? Drop your chin just a little bit. Lean your head forward just a touch. Perfect, perfect. Let me get this nice and dark so people can see it. So see what I'm doing, how I'm rounding like this? And if you're worried about, oh God, that's going to look really bad, big brown stripe, it's not, because you'll see. And you can feather that end if you want right there a little bit to soften it with the side of the brush. But you really don't have to. Okay, so let me see.
How do you know the exact color to use as a concealer?
Which one to use for the contour? Mm-hmm. Oh my God, best question ever. So we are simulating shadow, right? So what you want to do is you want to take your hand and you want to hold it over the area that you want to contour, and you want to look at the depth of the shadow on your skin. And you want to sort of replicate that as best you can. You understand?
Okay, yes.
One of the biggest mistakes is people don't do enough. They're afraid to go too dark, and I don't blame them because it can look really bad. But what happens is you just don't get enough contrast. You have to learn, because you're gonna highlight and you're gonna blend. So all the stuff is gonna look really pretty. When we get done. I mean, right now, if someone saw you, they'd be like, "Carol, do you know you got stripes on your face?" Right? But you won't, right? Eventually. So you can't. I often tell my clients when we're doing a makeup lesson, I say, I go, "How's your contour look? Do you like it?" They're like, "Yeah, it looks great." I go, "Okay, make it a little bit darker before we highlight it, because then it's really going to work." All right. So those are the basic points. Let me see right here. See, she's even got this nice narrow chin. For those of you who feel like you have more of a square chin, you can also cut the chin a little bit like this, and it just starts that heart shape even nicer. You see how I bring this contour down, but it's still outside the heart line. This one here. You want to keep this area nice and bright. So you notice I'm doing all dark first. So that's what I suggest you do. Put in the valleys, and then we'll put in the beaks. The beaks. That's not the word. Peaks after that. So let me grab a different brush. This is a synthetic concealer brush, And let me make sure I can do this so everybody can see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, what am I doing? I'm contouring Carol's nose. But when you contour, like the same way you want to connect the contour to your anatomy from starting from behind the ear here, from starting from the hairline here, I like to start right at the bottom of the eyebrow when I make this nice, clean, straight line. I hope it's straight because I'm standing over here. But this way, and then I gently brush this down the nose, and I tend to not you put too much dark on the side of the nose. I like to make this nice and dark, and then soften it, feather it, so it's darkest here and it lightens as it comes down. And what that does, it just creates a more narrow shape to the nose. Lots of people have, say, more of a flat bridge here, and so you could take your contour way in here. But for some of us, it's going to make our eyes look sunken in and deep set, right? It just depends on your face shape, that how you're going to particularly apply your contour. So turn towards me for a second, Carol. Just turn towards me. I just want to see how everything's looking, so I'm not sure I'm not blowing it. You look great. Come on back. All right, so I'm going to do just a little bit darker. In fact, I'm going to try to find a better brush. Yes. I want to make this more crisp. Turn towards me just a hair. That's right. Thank you. So this is a finer lined brush. And I'm using this because I just want this, I want her nose contour to be more crisp. I don't want it to be kind of messy. So turn back so you can see that the line that I put on, lean towards this a little bit, you can see that the line I put on, it's really sharp and crisp because I use this little tiny brush with a real sharp edge, just like that. All right, that's enough of that. So next we're going to do some highlighting, because highlighting is fun too. So I use the darkest concealer to make shadows. You know, here's what I think, by the way. I know that once we start blending this, we're going to lose some of this. So I'm going to take this up just, I mean, that's where her crown is. I got to make sure this is right on the bottom where the crown starts to roll under. So we use the darkest color in the corrector wheel for her contour. So now I'm going to use the lightest color. I want a lot of contrast for the highlight color, so that, you know, the contour really is effective. If you wimp out and you don't use good contrast colors, what happens is, again, your makeup just looks like mud because the colors are too close to each other. So now, in the highlight areas, now we all know that, you know, I love highlighting under the eye with my pink corrector, but with this technique, pink corrector just gets blown out of the water because you're using, you know, you're using the big guns now with this stuff, right? So you see how I'm making this nice triangle, and I'm going to take it all the way up under her cheekbone to highlight it, and I'm going to let it come down and just kiss that that dark color. So I'm going to mix those two together so you can see how the highlight is happening. You see how the shape is coming. Now, for some people, to create a stronger jawline, they will start putting, they'll do a little bit of highlight here. Just be careful if you know your face shape, because sometimes when you highlight here right before you get there, it can make it look like you just had your wisdom teeth pulled. You know, you get nice and swollen. Turn that way for me. So if you're going to highlight here, just don't, not as strong as, say, here. You really want that cheekbone just to jump out and grab us. And then the other place you can highlight is just under that contour. You create a little bit of highlight on the forehead like this. And again, it's going to create that halo of light where the eyes and lips live. And where the eyes and lips live. And that's nice. Turn towards me just a little bit. Some people like to highlight their chin so that it's coming more forward. You can make a little V shape or a little W, whatever letter you want to use. But just put it on, right? But right here in the center, so it gives a nice highlight. I'm going to make sure I got, yeah. And the last place you're going to use this is, turn towards me a little bit, is right down, don't block it, Chris, right down the center of the nose, like this. Now this is the cream highlight, okay? Now generally speaking, even with when I use cream, I often don't use the highlight down the nose. I don't know why. It just, sometimes to me, it just seems too fake. But it doesn't matter, because if you're doing runway or like photo shoot, yeah, you know, you do it just because you want a strong high contrast. So turn away from me, please. You go the other way. So you see all that contour going on? crazy stuff, right? Now this could be 10 times stronger. Well, 10 maybe is an exaggeration. Twice as strong, twice as contrasty, and it would still look good. It would just make her look, more intensely contoured. So now all this product's been sitting on her skin, and it's had a chance. Is that okay? My pressure too hot? Is it too strong?
Okay.
I don't want to make sure I'm like punching her with my finger, right? So what I'm doing is where the light and the color meet. You see how I'm kind of pressing and rolling? What I'm doing is I'm just melting those two together. Don't rub. That's called mud. And no one wants mud on their face. So you want to keep that contrast between your light and your dark color really clean, but you don't want a line on the face, right? So you be patient, grasshopper, and just smooth it down that contrast this way with my finger. So you can see already, wow, that was great. Just from a moment ago, how smooth and clean all this contour looks, and it was really nothing. I just went la 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 la. Come back to me a little bit. I also want to soften this moment right along her forehead where they meet, and really, this is what you do. And for some of you, you might say, I'm going to do this every day. Go for it. But make sure you clean your skin really, really well because, this is cream stuff. This is different than using powder, which we'll be using on the other side. Turn towards me just a touch, and then I'm going to just pat down the side of the nose a little bit just to soften that edge. And boy, this went on so easy. Come on back to center and then turn this way. So turn this way. Now turn the other way. Come towards me. So you see the face here. The way light is hitting it, it's just kind of bouncing generally off her face. Now please turn the other way. But on this side, you keep turning a little bit more. But you can see here how light wraps on her. It's her eclipse. Her face is being eclipsed, right? I put that back in there. Which is really, really nice. So that's done. Now this stuff, you can come back to center. So now what's happening is she got some creamy stuff on her face. I mean, it's not super creamy, but just understand it has oil in it. So before you put your foundation over the top, please make sure you powder. So let me grab these powders, what I would recommend. So on a daily basis, what I'm going to recommend is that Carol walks around with a powder that's close to her skin tone, okay? Excuse me, that was my stomach. Close to her skin tone because it has a little bit of pigment and you want it to refresh maybe the appearance of the foundation, give you a little bit more coverage. But right now, I don't want to put pigment on her skin. Not because of its color, but because the pigment molecule is bigger than the powder molecule. Now, this powder has no pigment, right? It's just powder. It's what we use for high definition. I showed this in my airbrush episode. So this is what I want to use to set the contour because it's just going to dry it. And that way when I put the foundation over the top, it's not going to emulsify because wet takes off wet. So if my foundation, if this is a little bit creamy and then I put her foundation straight on it, it's going to start moving it and melting it. And it's going to be a little bit more muddy. So her skin feels pretty dry right now. You see how I'm applying? I take the side of my brush and I press, right? And then I press it into the skin. I'm not doing this. I can do this afterwards to take off the excess.
I always do this.
You go this?
Yeah, I do.
Let me tell you why it's not good. You see the tip of the brush, all the bristles? All it does is go cut, 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 cut. It makes little tiny streaks in the skin.
Mm-hmm.
You want your skin to look like skin, right? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yes.
Totally.
Okay. So if you press flat, you smooth and flatten the product of the face, you see? So now the makeup is more a part of you, and so it just looks more natural, and it's going to last longer because you've really pressed it well. So now comes the easy part, because now we're just going to do a little bit of foundation. And now we almost don't need any foundation because she has so much coverage right now already by using concealers on her face. Concealers also cover. So she has good coverage, right? So I'm going to take the foundation we're using on the tip of a foundation brush. You see what a tiny little amount I use. And I'm just going to brush this really lightly from the center of her face out. I tend to like to work from the center of the face out. I want more coverage here and less as the foundation comes out. And so by starting here, more coverage, and it thins as it comes outward, just like that. And I'm just going to brush it smoothly. See how I'm kind of really concentrating on the border of the light color and the dark color. Turn that way a little bit for me. Right here, I should have blended right here a little bit better. I'm going to do it with my brush. And I just brush it through. Right here along this border, I'm using the foundation to smooth it. Right? And down here, I don't like a lot of foundation on the neck unless, or any, if I usually don't want foundation on the neck. So I don't really have any, I didn't put any foundation on my brush or more foundation. I'm just grabbing the bottom part of that contour and sweeping it back and forth. Now, that's great. So now again, turn your head towards me, right? So you see kind of smooth and clean, but no contrast. Now turn the other way for me. And then on this side, you see that beautiful soft contrast happening. She's got the sharpened jawline. She's got that little drop of shadow here, right? And that nice shading that's happening here, so she's more, has more highlight here, so it really shows off her eyes. And come back to center, please. And after you put your foundation on, you definitely want to, grab a tissue. You definitely want to one more time powder it, because we use a liquid foundation and, well, it's wet. Now, if you're using a powder foundation, you don't need to, obviously, powder a powder foundation. And here it's really lady's choice in terms of, do I want to use the powder with pigment, or do I want to use the powder without pigment? I'm going to use the powder with pigment because I like the way it just adds a little more uniformity to the look. Again, you see how I'm applying? Because the makeup is wet. So once I get the powder on, then I'm going to brush off the excess. Just like that. Pretty cool. All right. So if you got 20 minutes in the morning, gosh darn it, this is what you should be doing. No, it really doesn't take that long. And if you really like the effect and, if you're going to something important, you want the makeup to really look good and last a while, this is great stuff. And what I love about my corrector wheel is it's got all the great concealers and also the pink and the green. So as long as your skin tone is light to close to medium, this is a real good wheel. I'm working on a wheel that's going to have correctors for darker skin tones as well. I mean, I sell them individually, my yellow. And I like to have an eyeshadow base in there too. I want so many things for Christmas. So now I'm going to show this to you on the other side. I already put foundation. Did I powder you after I did your foundation? I think I did. So now what I'm going to do, and here's what I recommend you do, is we're going to use powder to contour, okay? So what this is it's a powder that's a couple shades deeper, maybe even more than a couple shades deeper than Carol's skin tone. But this is translucent powder. And why I like translucent powder is meant to look like skin. It's not like a bronzer that's got red in it or yellow. There's nothing wrong with those tones, but they read like bronzer on the face. They don't read like shadow, like contour. I also like this because it's kind of, I'm not going to say foolproof, but close to foolproof in terms of how much pigment is in a translucent powder. Not as much as, say, you get like a nice bronzing powder set, right? A lot of different shades of dark colors. Often you put them on and you're like, whoa, now how do I soften that? How do I blend it? Well, you got to work harder, but you don't have to with this. It's just going to look like your skin. And speaking of whatever you use, remember this is meant to create shadow and to make things recede. So you want to make sure that what you're using is matte. So let's say you say, oh, I have this great skin tone bronzer that's darker, but it's shimmery. Well, shimmer reflects light. So where you're trying to make things recede, they're actually bouncing light off and coming forward. So make sure that all of your contour is 100% matte, okay? And of course, this powder is matte. So you're going to turn way towards me now. A little bit more, that's good. Will you pull your hair back behind your ear for me on that side? So the same rules apply. Here's her gorgeous cheekbone, and then it rolls down. This is where her cheekbone crowns, and just on the underside, oh, there's the ridge right there. That's the ridge of her cheekbone right there. So I take my brush, and what I like to do is I actually kind of like to wiggle it. So I feel it. Do you feel it kind of catching on your bone there?
Yes.
It catches on that little ridge, and then I like to do like just a little short, I was about to say chop. That's not a good word. But just a short kind of blunt stroke. I'm trying to make this pretty dark right in the back. You want your contour to be darkest here, and then you want it to soften as it comes forward. The reverse effect is that as the contour gets darker, it tucks back, so it gives your face more shape. Some people put their contour on this way, so the darkest part of it's here because that's where they're starting to brush. And so it caves this part of the face in, but then the face, turn back a little bit, it caves this part of the face in, but then the face gets whiter as it goes back because the contour is getting lighter, right? So work in the reverse direction. All right, I'm sorry, come on back towards me. So here it is. I'm just gonna cut. So you see I'm doing the exact same thing I did before, but not to the degree that I did it because this is sitting on top of her skin. I'm not gonna put foundation over this. Now, same thing with the jawline. I can go right under her ear. Oh, good. I'm glad I'm doing this again because I wanted to explain something. So most of us have, it's a hinge right here. So it's kind of an angle. Um, what you want to do when you contour is you kind of want to put a 45-degree angle across that angle. You're cutting the jawbone a little bit in half, and the reason you're doing that is it helps light to bend, to go under and really cut the shape of the jawline. But make sure you start from behind the ear. But you see I'm still working with a straight line, absolutely straight. And even though I'm using the contour brush, which is available to my live chatters today, whoever wants to chime in and say hello, what was I going to say about this? Oh, I'm squeezing it. Even though it has a nice shape, and this is my smaller one. I have a big one. It was a mistake. I shouldn't have got those big brushes. So, but look, I'm still grabbing the hair. See that? I'm grabbing it so it's like really tight and crisp, and I'm brushing forward like that. So I'm going to do the same. So you can see that I'm doing the exact same, come back a little bit, right there, good. Yeah, I'm doing the exact same thing I did on the other side, but with powder, right? You're like, well, why don't I just do that? Well, you should on a regular basis. But if you really want to create a stronger dynamic to your face, then you use the other technique that we use, and good for photography. So come back towards me. So let me see how we're looking over here. So now you can see, I don't know if you recall how light was bouncing off her before, but you can see now that we got this nice, beautiful, soft shape. I'm getting this down a little bit too far, so I'm messing up is what I'm saying. So I'm going to try to fix that. Thing about stupid contour, it's hard to fix. If it gets too dark and you just can't fix it, put a little bit of foundation on your brush and just brush over it. Fixed. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to contour her nose. So using the same color that I've been using, the exact same thing we did. Can we all see that? Yes. So you see I'm just like, right, my brush is just touching the bottom corner of her eyebrow right there, and I'm rounding it, this little motion, and then I'm coming down the side of her nose, on the other side of that highlight that we put on her nose. But I'm using powder instead of cream. Oops, careful, Chris. Come on down. Brush hair. Stupid brush hair. Hate them. There we go. Coming down. And then once I get it straight, now I'm going to brush this product down the side of her nose. Like this. And so you want these lines really clean, or you can make it look like she has a broken nose. Which you probably don't. You know what I mean? If you get it like jaggedy, the line goes, then that's what people see even more. So we don't want that. But good for Halloween. Remember that.
Oh, yeah. It's coming.
It's coming. We'll be talking about Halloween in just a little second here. So that was really, really good. I'm going to tap again. So I've already highlighted down the center of her nose with the cream when I was, come back a little bit, when I was demonstrating the cream contour. However, I am going to put a little bit of powder down the center of her nose too. I'm also clipping the underside of her nose with the darker contour. Some people want their nose to, I don't know, be slightly upturned or just like look a little bit shorter. So they do that. And then I can grab her, and I'm going to use her, not the powder that doesn't have any pigment. This is like the translucent powder. I'm using medium light on Carol today. And I'm going to stripe it right down the center of the nose. So what's happening here is it's just softening where the borders are. So I've done all the dark colors on her. So now using that same powder, meaning that highlight, the medium light translucent powder, turn towards me please. Same thing, put that light powder on the brush and squeeze that bad boy, okay? Get that nice little cut in that brush, and then you're gonna, for lack of a better term, you're gonna saw back and forth like this. Don't brush in one direction. What you're doing is you're blending this. You're making this look like it's been photoshopped. It just disappears. You know, shadow is a gradient that's beautiful and not edgy. So if you just blend in one direction, you don't get that effect. So you have to go back and forth. So where you want your brush to border where the dark and the light color meet. Don't go over the dark or the light color. Just go in the border like that. And then come back to center a little bit. And so you can see how much that is softened on her. And then come on back to me. And then I'm going to go along right above, along the top part of the border of the contour we did on her jawline as well. And I'm going to soften it a little bit down. I'm a little more liberal with using powder down. Oops, sorry, I'm poking you in the throat. I'm using powder on the neck than I am using foundation. Just foundation on the neck, man, just not right. Because people see that, they're like, "What's wrong with your neck?" Just try to make it disappear. You know, it should just your makeup should just disappear before the face turns a corner. So come back to center. Oh dang, she looked good. So two types of contour going on here. Now the other thing that really kind of shapes our face as well is just that final little touch of blush, right? Some fresh color on the cheek. So we're going to do just a little bit of fresh color. Now, you probably can't see it, but Carol's wearing a vibrant purple top, a nice jewel color. So the blush I use it's designed to go with that. So here I go. So remember, you don't want any of the color to come inside the heart line, but right outside. So here's the trick. We contoured here, right, on the underside. So, of course, no blush there. Now, here's the crown, and that's where the dark and the light color meet. Don't go on the crown because that pigment of the blush mixes with that dark contour, and then you get this darker line of a third color because you're mixing two colors. Not good. So you're going to put this on the shelf of the cheekbone, the high part of the cheekbone. And I of course, like to go really simply. Oh, that's your hair. Sorry. You want to keep that one? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1. I'm creating the energy of a flush on her cheek. More energy here, meaning more color. 1, 2, 3. Get softer, softer. But you want it to stop right before it gets under the heart line, so this stays nice and highlighted. Turn away from me. So you can see that pretty color as it comes up on her cheek. Now turn towards me, please. Do the same thing on the other side. Here's her heart line. So I'm going to start just outside and on the shelf of the cheekbone. So what's hard about this when you're doing this on yourself is look how close I am. Oh, wait, move your brush, Chris. Look how close I am to her eye, right? You know, you don't want to put it right next to it, but it's really close. There's just a little ribbon of light right here between your blush and the outer corner of your eye. So some people are like, oh, I don't want to put it that high. But trust me, you put it up there, and your face is going to get a great lift. The minute that blush starts to come down here, it just adds weight to the underside of the contour where your shadow naturally falls. You put weight there, and then the face starts to fall heavy, and then the makeup looks heavy. You want your skin to look really fresh and almost see-through. Make sure I'm getting this right. Can you see? So, see, you want the angle, but you want your brush to come down. If you're holding the brush up and you come down this way, you're not going to mess up. If you kind of hold, a lot of people are comfortable holding their brush like this, like all their brushes, they have this weird angle. You want to come straight into the face, but actually tilt it up. Bam, 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 and come back to center, and then you get that nice color. So you see how that also helps shape her face. It just adds that pretty good. Bring your chin up for us a little bit. Yeah, how pretty. And then lean in towards that little green dot. And say, hi everybody. Yeah, it looks really pretty. And then so keep the chin up a little bit and turn left to right for us. Just turn to more. I mean, like a lot, so we can see the whole face. Really pretty. See how soft that's the powder side of contour. Come back the other way. And then keep going, and this is keep turning, and this is the side with the cream contour. So it's beautifully subtle in both instances. And come back to center, please. The biggest difference is, if I was to take some pictures of Carol right now with a flash, this side is going to stay contoured, or in fact, it might even look more contoured, whereas the other side is going to look less contoured. It's going to eat through that contour just because it's powder and it doesn't have as much like consistency as a cream does. So I can tell you a lot more about contour because obviously there's a lot more to tell you, but I don't want to go on and on. I really want you to sort of grasp this concept. Know that you can change the angle of your contours to affect the shape of your face. For instance, if you feel your face is long, then instead of angling your contour, you bring it straight out. So you're not actually following the places that I showed you. And by bringing that contour straight out, what it does is it pushes the face in like this because the light's falling this way, right? If you feel like your face is round, you're going to do a lot more dark contouring out here to sort of bring the face in a little bit. And let me preface this, even though it's too late to preface, by saying, your face shape is fine, however it is. However, if it's something that you want to be able to work with and play with, contour is highly effective. But you want to use the same application technique, the same kind of products that we just used, either the cream or the powder technique, and both are going to work really well for you. So thank you for being on the final episode of Makeup Gourmet Life for the first season. Everybody, Carol. So we're very, very pleased to have her with us today. So I just want to share, hello, where's my mouse? I just want to share a couple more things with you guys. And this is kind of exciting. So the one thing you should know is that I decided to extend my 20% cart discount throughout. So if you are one part of my YouTube audience, the code is now YouTube20, and it works all the time. So anytime you want to pick up product and you want to incorporate that code, you may. And that's good for everything. Even the value bundles. What I did was I just kind of, I was a business guy, and I did some price adjusting in the sense that you get a great deal, and I of course don't go out of business. So YouTube 20, it's a cart discount. And this is good for services as well. So whatever I sell on my website, you can get 20% off on. So that's kind of exciting. So please take advantage of that because it's my way of, it's one of my ways of just saying to you guys, thanks so much for watching my show and what have you. And obviously you can see here, I got lots of product. I have a full product line. My skincare is great. My skincare is based on my experience of working with skin for so long. And the products are formulated to really just solve the day-to-day issue of, I want my skin to look its best today. So I just want to share that with you. So I always ask, or say if you have an episode topic that you want to talk about, please send one my way. I've had a couple good requests that I'm looking at for the next season. So again, anything you want to know about, you just send it to info@makeupgourmet.com, and I will be more than happy to share, feature your episode. All the techniques that I'm showing you today, all sort of the whole concept behind everything is in Face with a Heart, my book, Mastering Authentic Beauty Makeup. And it's funny, I just got some new reviews online, and I was just, how it is when you help somebody and you feel really good because it's nobody you know, but you've touched them and then they reach back and touch you. And anyway, it was really nice for what people had to say about how they were able to change their makeup. And I had one professional who read my book and said, "Are you kidding me? I apply makeup professionally, and this has helped me with every makeup I do." And I thought, that's really cool. So I'm proud, as you can probably tell. So if you do, if you're interested in getting better at your makeup, this is a really good way. If you want to be a model on Makeup Gourmet Live, love to have you. I have a few booked up already for next season, but I would love to hear from you and see if you are able to be on the show as well. All the episodes plus all my other videos are all on my YouTube channel, Makeup Gourmet. These shows are on a live stream. What do you call it? Playlist. So you can watch the show. You can watch each episode if you want, because you got all afternoon to do that. So that all that's there. I have a really good. I just put together a contour playlist. It's 21 videos, 21 different models showing contour techniques. So if you just go to Makeup Gourmet, go to the playlist, hit contour, a lot of good stuff there. So hey, guess what? I'm going to take a break. I thought I was going to finish my season next week because I didn't think I was going to go on today. I mean, seriously, I had some tech issues, but I'm so happy we went on because I thought this was a pretty good show. But my fall season is going to start September 19th, and if you don't know, that's also my good friend Tom Rissette's birthday. So hooray for him, and hooray for September 19th, because if it didn't exist, he wouldn't exist, and it just would be a different world. So, some things I'll be touching on for the fall. I'll do fall appropriate themes, fall colors, holiday looks, Halloween fun, winter skin repair, red lipstick, because we tend to wear more red then, and how do we wear it and without, feeling self-conscious, what have you. And I'm really excited. I'm going to do an episode on Retin-A. And we have a great dermatologist in here for that. Why I'm going to look, if you're going to use Retin-A, it's in the winter that you want to use it to protect your skin from the sun, because Retin-A makes your skin wickedly sun sensitive. But I want to talk about Retin-A because it is one of those miracle things that people I don't know if they understand it completely, but if you have skin damage and you want to repair it, Retin-A is definitely your friend forever. But it has to be through the guidance of a dermatologist, and you definitely want to make sure that you're, doing everything as you should, because it is a super duper strong little formula, and I just want you to be careful. So it's been great doing these first 10 episodes. I've learned a lot, technically, but also just having fun sharing with you, and I hope you've had fun, watching the episodes or watching them later. Love to hear from you all the time. So we're really happy that you've been part of this, and I can't wait for next season to start. So once again, thank you so much. Thank you, Joe Crown, for the beautiful music that we always get to play. Joe Crown is so awesome. He actually just became a member of the Kenny Wayne Shepherd Band because he's that cool. So we're very impressed with him, that's for sure. So until next season, which is in 4 weeks, we look forward to having you join us. Use your YouTube 20 code to get discounts on the Makeup Gourmet card and all that good stuff. All right, everybody. See you later. Bye.